Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hardwood Nations podcast with your boy CL Anthony and my main men today, my tall buddy and my short buddy, Kevin Carter and Bryce Ward. What's going on, fellas?
Same on, guys.
Nothing. I'm just watching the Jaguars defense get carved up by tight ends. It's Esther's. It's a tradition, no other.
So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. We got a couple of topics that I want to deep dive into. I know Kevin is ready for one of those. Really quick, last week when me and Bryce recorded, I actually reported that Ben Simmons was getting scared. I had heard through the grapevine that he was getting scared. I did not know that he was going to show up to Philly camp the very next day, but I knew he was getting shaky when they started withholding his money. Kevin, I'm going to start with you real quick. What conversations do you think need to be had between Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons at this point?
None. None. There is no conversation. They probably haven't had a conversation before all this crap happened, so they're certainly not going to have a conversation now after all of this crap happened. It's like neither one of them like each other to begin with. It doesn't seem like neither one of them want to play with each other. It doesn't seem like so. Just let it go. Let them play ball. I hope it all implodes underneath them. So yeah, just do whatever. I don't think anything either one of them says to each other is going to matter at this moment.
Bryce, do you think they need to have a conversation off the record to set the record straight about how they're going to move forward together this season?
Not now. The time for that conversation has passed, and they should have had that type of conversation a long time ago. And Ben Simmons just put the kibosh on anybody talking to him. So, like Embiid said, it was like borderline disrespectful. So, no, I don't think there is a conversation to be had now. And I think Ben Simmons will still be an overall problem as long as he's still there, even though he's showing up.
Got it. Well, we all know he's showing up to get the check. Kevin,
Yes.
How do you feel about the report that Doc Rivers kind of yelled at Ben Simmons at a meeting and said you have to honor your fucking contract? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, what it is, they need to let it go because this is already going too far. Yelling at people, telling people you need to honor your fucking contract and shit like that. It's not going to do any good. What good is a head coach yelling at a guy saying you got to honor your contract? That means okay, you might not want to be here, but you need to play ball so you can make money. Okay, well then he's not going to care. What if you tell him to honor his contract? He goes out there, he puts the kibosh on everything, and he plays like crap, which he's already been doing. But that's been naturally he's been playing like crap in the playoffs. But I'm like, it's going to make no difference. The more you yell, look, he's a millennial. The more you yell at him, the worse shit's going to get. Just stop yelling at him, let it go, and kind of ignore him until you get him traded.
Bryce, who do you think would be a willing trade partner for the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons at this point?
Well, I know a lot of people have been speaking in favor and, coming up with reasons why it wouldn't work or shouldn't work. And I just think it makes a lot of sense to say you trade your problem for a problem and you make that call to Brooklyn and see if you can get Kyrie. Because at this point, I think both guys have hurt their trade value quite a bit. So based on how much money they're owed and kind of the drama around both, I mean, what more can you expect to get for a Ben Simmons or a Kyrie other than what the other team is offering? So I think that makes the most sense. If I'm the Sixers and hear about this Kyrie news early on in the week, I definitely just make that call and say, what would it take for us to make a deal, basically. But that would be me.
No, that's a good point, and it makes the most sense for those two teams to make a trade with each other. Now, speaking of trade value, I'm going to set the stage for this. So the Brooklyn Nets, of course, shut Kyrie Irving down for the season. They made that announcement, I believe it was Monday afternoon or Tuesday. And then the reports came out that they're not going to extend a contract extension to Kyrie Irving, valued close to up to $200 million due to his unwillingness at this point in time to get the vaccine. So it was at that point where Kyrie Irving took to IG Live and spoke about a few things, said his points pretty well, but also spoke about the fact that he has never indicated that he would retire because he doesn't want to take the vaccine. Now, I call bullshit on that. Kevin, what do you feel about that?
He ain't gonna, he never once said he was going to retire. This whole thing has been blown out of proportion because of one stupid thing, and that is that the city of New York has put a mandate on it. It's not that he didn't want to play basketball. It's not that he couldn't go and play basketball right now. It's that he can't play home games, and people are so butthurt that he hasn't went and got the vaccine because it's his choice, that people are blowing this gigantically, huge, proportionately way out of context. The man said in the beginning, I was going to play the NBA season based off of the NFL rules for unvaccinated players. The only thing that changed was New York putting in a look, if you live here, you got to have a vaccine to go in anywhere. What's the messed up thing is the other night in New York City, Bradley Beal, who was not vaccinated, played in a basketball game. Someone, anyone with a competent mind, tell me how in the hell can you do that? This has been all messed up. The only people there's no one in the wrong during this whole case. And leave Kyrie alone. If he doesn't want to take it, he don't have to take it. It's not his fault he can't play basketball. Blame the city of New York, it's their fault he can't play basketball for the Knicks or the Nets or anybody that plays in New York. He can't play hockey either, apparently.
Bryce,
it's stupid, man. It is just downright stupid.
Bryce, how do you feel about Kyrie Irving's IG Live after tons and tons and tons of negative press that came his way?
Well, the negative press was expected because all the press, all of them, is going to speak out right now against anybody not getting the vaccine, even though the media has been tearing Kyrie up for that video, saying that he's saying a whole lot of nothing. And I kind of get that. Because he's playing like both sides of the fence with some of his comments, but he's not getting vaccinated. I agree with all that. But what Kevin said, I agree with wholeheartedly because it's his personal decision. It wasn't a problem until New York City made it a problem. And the way the media has covered it is part of the course for how they've covered the entire one-sided vaccine argument of saying you have to go out and get this, otherwise it's kind of like a witch hunt, and you're demonized for it. I don't agree with that aspect. I saw one media article that said the NBA is fascists or something like that for not allowing Kyrie to play basketball, and then another article saying like it's irresponsible for Kyrie to not get the vaccine. Like, you're seeing both sides of it deployed for whatever people are trying to make it. But really, what it comes down to is a guy who is making the personal choice to not get vaccinated, and because of where he lives, he can't play basketball currently. And what's weird is if you're on an opposing team, or I guess your residence is in another state that doesn't impose anything, you still get to walk out on that court because you are there like visiting for business, so they allow it. So it's a lot
Bradley
of
Beal,
this is
Bradley
okay,
Beal
but this isn't. Exactly,
Bradley,
which anybody visiting with another team can, but the guy who lives there cannot. So
it's so stupid. It is so stupid. It is so stupid. If the NBA would have made a rule, you got to get vaccinated or you couldn't play. Okay, there you go. There's the rule. But making a rule where, oh, okay, you can be vaccinated and then you can go visit places that you can still go play. asinine stupid.
Yeah,
And
but to argue
and
the
people,
stupidness of the state though is irrelevant because that's where those guys choose to live, and they have a more liberal government and
but what if
city
you don't
government
live?
in that
But what?
state. It
But what
doesn't
if you
matter.
play? What if you play for the Nets, but you live in Ohio?
Yeah, then that might be,
Can you can
a
you
way
can
out
you
of it. Like, but
can you
that
get
they're gonna
around
have
it?
to deal with that. Yeah, then maybe that might be
I
the
don't think.
case. With as
I,
stupid as that sounds, that very well may be the case. So
if you're
you know
Let,
what
trying
would be interesting is if Kyrie gets traded to Philly, but he's still registered as a New York resident, and he still can't play in New York games, even if he's visiting.
to, it's the whole thing. The whole thing is stupid. If you wanted to mandate the vaccine and you wanted to tell people they couldn't play, you could have made. You should have just said, "Look, either you get it or you don't play." That would have solved everything. But now you have it where people can do this, people can do that. It's just stupid the way they set it up.
let
It
me
is
let me
right
let me
stupid.
let me jump in real quick because the both of you just said something very profound and something that I haven't heard in all of the media coverage. So I appreciate both you guys for that. So the address thing is very interesting because that could very well be an out. Because I know Kevin knows this. A lot of these professional athletes, they don't have their residence in their names.
Yeah,
Sometimes
they
it's in
don't
a
live
family.
forever.
Right.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's in a family member's name, mom, dad, brother, whatever. So that could be a very interesting out for him to play. We all know he's on the Players Association, so I know they're working on finding a way to get him to play. But you guys really hit on something very important there. So thank you for that. Um,
Here's the out on which he should play. You made a stupid rule where visiting people can come and play. Get with the stupid freaking city that put the mandate in it. Be like, look, dude, he's not going to get the thing. He already tests. We test them out the water. If they're unvaccinated players in the freaking NBA, can we just let the guy play?
Yeah,
It's
but
hey,
as
look,
simple as that.
I mean, how
Here's
much
the thing.
sway does the NBA or does that team
And, it,
have with the entire city? The
and
city
here's a,
is super liberal, so
well, they
in
have
the
a
grand
bunch of
scope of things, it's not going to
they have
work that way. I don't think.
no, they have a bunch of sway because they make a lot of money for them. The
well,
yes,
the
the
You would
yes
hope so.
network, the yes network alone makes a shit ton of money for freaking New York and for everybody involved in New York. The yes network runs all that shit.
and
And the thing is,
ironically,
and the thing is, if you anywhere you go now where they mandate things for you to go and watch stuff, even in Florida, if a concert saying, hey, you got to be vaccinated or you have to show a negative test for you to ever even be able to go in and watch a concert, do that. That way, if he shows a negative test, he can go and play basketball. No, because the city of New York is so damn stupid. They go, okay, everybody's got to be vaccinated, or nobody can go do anything at all. That's
there
idiotic. That's
there's
idiotic
some
from the get go.
there's some leeway to be had here. Unfortunately, he plays for the Nets because I believe if he played for the Knicks, there would be some sway being done. I just heard this morning, and Kevin's right about the Yes Network. I heard this morning that New York granted special privileges for the WWE for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns who aren't vaccinated, but they
Of
allowed
course.
them to attend. But they allowed them to attend an event in Madison Square Garden. So
No, of course.
there so there might have been more leeway for Kyrie if he played for the Knicks. I just think he's playing for the wrong team in New
Anytime,
York, unfortunately.
anytime anybody drops some money on you, shit changes. I'm
Well,
just
of
saying.
Right.
course, is Brooklyn ready to go to bat in that way for Kyrie, depending on what they would or not have to do in order to convince the city to give him some leeway? Are they even willing to do that at this point? Also,
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Brooklyn's tired of Kyrie's stuff already. Kyrie, they come out and say, well, Kyrie would just be a part-time player. Kyrie's been a part-time player for how many years now? He hasn't played.
most his career since college.
Like, so he already is a part-time player as it is. I think the Nets are slowly trying to get rid of him anyway. and they're just using this as a way to make it easier if they go, hey, we had to get rid of.
Well, now they
But
have Kevin Durant's permission to do it. That's the big
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Now they have Kevin Durant's permission because he's the domino that had to fall. Because if they piss Durant off and Durant's gone, everything's gone in
oh
their
yeah,
eyes.
and they got to make sure that they got to make sure that they can at least keep James Harden there. So there's a good chance that Kyrie and James may be gone by at the end of this season. But the Kyrie thing is just stupid, and like all these idiots that got on the national media calling him this, calling him that, saying that he brought these guys in. He should get, if he doesn't want to get this vaccine, it's his goddamn choice. It'd be the same thing, and I made this example on our show. It'd be the same thing as if a WNBA player got pregnant. She still wanted to play. She didn't want the baby and went and got an abortion. It's her choice of what she does. We are not anybody to tell her the choice that she wanted to go into in order for her to go and play basketball. Just like we don't have the choice to go and tell Kyrie Irving that you need to go and get this shot. It is his freaking choice. This whole thing for a year and a half, going on 2 years now, has been about choices. Whatever your choice is, you make what you think is best for
Well,
you and you go and do it.
I think most moderate people would agree with you. The problem is the outspoken media being pushed in one direction, and we see all of media pushed in that direction. That's why it's important for normal people like us having these conversations to say, look, it's okay for other people to have opinions. I don't care either way what someone does, but he has the right to say, hey, I'm going to do this for myself. It doesn't even have to make sense to you. He could have the
Nope.
most outrageous decision, and that's fine. But there's no point. I don't feel like there's a point in having this argument because everybody's been having this argument since this shit started, and they live in New York. And the people who live in New York have put their trust in whatever they have, and now that's the position we deal with. And then the basketball and every other sport and everything else has to deal with it now. Whether we agree with it or not, we live in a state that's the exact opposite. Okay, and people think we're nuts. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to be sensitive, not sensitive, but at least take into effect that these other people are making decisions for the people that they think are living in their area, and whether or not we agree with it, obviously we do not. We get to at least speak out and be at least reasonable because the media, every other media outlet, is speaking in one direction basically for it. So I think it's important for us to say these things, but at the end of the day, the NBA, none of these people have any say. They're just there in that place, and they have to deal with whatever the government says right now.
The
So,
fun, the funny part is it's just one guy that's causing this big gigantic uproar
yeah.
among 5 million people just because he plays basketball and doesn't want to get a vaccination. Man, come on, people. You know how many people there's out there that doesn't want to get a vaccination? Look at all the people. We're mentioning about a guy playing basketball, and people are out there not getting a vaccine, so they can't go and fly an airplane and stuff like this. This is ridiculous, man. Nobody should be mad because somebody doesn't want to go and get a shot. It's their personal opinion. It's their personal business.
See, the interesting part of the story for me is not that he will or won't. It's, well, now that we're here and he plays on New York, basketball wise, what can we expect? Because I want to see Kyrie on the court as much as possible because we don't get to see that all the time. So where can he go, and what makes the most sense? It's like now I want to know what they do going forward and his trade value and stuff because he clearly can't just sit there, especially if he says what he says and wants to play. He has to be open to wherever they can get him. So that's where I'm at with it. It's like, okay, we're in this situation. Let's just deal with it the best we can, and let's see what we can do. So I'm interested to see what Brooklyn does for him, I guess.
Brooklyn's just handcuffed. They're not going to be able to do anything with it. I don't think any trade will make any sense because when you go to trading, you're not going to get your value back, which is the same with every superstar player. And
that's why I mentioned Philly, though, because you're not going to get anything back for Simmons either.
No, you're already screwed. But I don't even think. I think it came out that somebody made the call and one of the two teams said no. So I don't know.
Right.
I just think right now it's easier to trade Kyrie than it is Ben. And but both of them have their craziness to them that you're gonna have to deal with. So I don't know. I
I
I
know.
just I'm tired of hearing about shots and you can't play and you can't do this and you can't do that unless you got a shot. I'm like, I'm gonna
Well,
get a third one. Somebody is just somebody could tell me, hey, you can do whatever you want.
let's switch gears a little bit to the financial implications of what we've been talking about. So we saw Brooklyn take a stand this week. How beneficial is it to Brooklyn knowing that realistically it's hard to pay full value for Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden? So Brooklyn made their stand. They said they're not going to pay Kyrie his extension. That frees up the road now for them to give the full extension to James at some point this season. They don't want Harden going into the offseason being a free agent like Kyrie would be a free agent. So now from Brooklyn's point of view, knowing that you shut Kyrie down for the season, and now you can focus all your attention on locking up James Harden, what other moves would you make to try to bring a championship to Brooklyn? Because that's the ultimate goal for the front office at this point in time.
You don't have to make any more moves. You were a big two away from winning it last year with a dinged up James Harden, a gigantically old Blake Griffin, and Kevin Durant. You were this close to doing it last year. They don't need to do anything. If they want to, lock up James for the foreseeable future. But really, you do not have to go and do anything. You have arguably the best player on the planet and was, just like I said, a big toe away from probably going to the NBA Finals and winning. So really, they don't got to do nothing. All this talk of big threes and all this, they don't got to do nothing, man. They lock up James, give him the money, go and find a few key pieces here and there, and then go at it again with what you have because what you have is plenty good enough. You didn't
So that
have
that
Kyrie last year.
that's my question. So would you forego re-signing Kyrie and just add you a couple of pieces, or would you try to re-sign Kyrie as well if you're
No,
Brooklyn?
Kyrie's gone.
Okay.
Kyrie is an afterthought until New York says the mandate is gone. That's when that's where Kyrie stands. If they tomorrow said, "Look, the vaccine mandate is gone. You don't have to have all this stuff," bam, Kyrie's back in the picture. Until that mandate is lifted, you can't even you don't even think about Kyrie Irving. You don't
Got it.
even think about him. You don't even think about him until he either goes and gets a shot or the mandate's lifted. Kyrie is
Got
an
it.
afterthought. He shouldn't even be thought of for the rest of the year. You need to go lock up James Harden. Get a couple. You already have enough there to go to the finals, and you know you do. So just play with what you got and don't worry about it. The less stress you bring upon yourself during all this madness is the easiest. And they did the right. Look, the Nets did the right thing by going, hey, until Kyrie can play the whole thing, we're not worried about it. Because really, there's nothing you can do. You're going to
Right.
have him
Right.
for all. You're going to have him for all the road games or all the road games, but you're not going to have him for home. It's about what he plays anyway. So there's the same number of games he plays anyway. So just call it load management if you wanted to keep him on the team. But they did the right thing, dude. They were close without him. I think they're fine.
Bryce, what do you think?
Well, I mean, that's all correct. You spread out that money that Kyrie's not going to get by when you said you're not going to offer him the max because you still have one of the max slots to give. So you give that to Harden, though, of course. You lock him up, which the way Harden came into the season this year, prepped and with his relationship with Durant and his want to win a championship, I think you lock him up easily. I think that's what both him and the team want. And you spread out the rest of the money bolstering your bench because that's kind of like one of your knocks as it is. You're not super deep, and then some of the guys you do have are older. So you just, I think, spread out the wealth for more depth. But yeah, Kyrie's gone. He'll have to find another team until like Kevin said, the New York mandate is lifted before he can go back home and play, which he clearly does seem to want to play at home. So, but yeah, he's going to move on. The Brooklyn Nets have clearly moved on, and I think they're happy. I think Durant's. I think all those guys are already just ready to be past it, as were clear the other night from some of their press conferences. Kevin Durant seemed to be in a great mood, oddly. So I think everybody's kind of moved on, and they'll just figure out a place for him eventually. And I don't think you're going to hear anybody say anything bad about the other in this situation, because I think Brooklyn, based on their history, will accommodate whatever they can get Kyrie. I don't think they're just going to be like, we're going to send you wherever we can send you, because they have a decent relationship with those guys, I think. So, yeah, but they've moved on. Everybody's moved on. So it's just a matter of where he's going to fall.
I don't
and what
think
they
he
get
falls
back.
anywhere. Yeah, I don't think Kyrie falls anywhere. I think Kyrie just sits there in limbo until this stuff happens. And then when
Until
stuff happens,
until they don't give him his max, because they've
Well,
already
they're
said
not.
they're not going to offer him the extension.
One, nobody's going to give him a max because you're talking about a guy who's already aged, a guy who's going to be sitting out a year, a guy who hasn't even played a full season in his career. The closest he got was 79 games, and that was back in Cleveland. But recently, the last 5 years, he's maybe played 2 full seasons
Yeah. So
combined.
you think he's going to stay in Brooklyn?
No, he's going to just sit in limbo is what Kyrie Irving is going to do. He is literally going to sit in limbo until all this corona crap goes away, and then I think he pops right back up in Brooklyn.
Maybe, but I don't think
I
this
don't
stuff
think
goes
I
away
don't think he
in the next year
I
or
don't think
two.
he I don't look, dude, this corona crap and everything like this, next year it's going to be a completely different set of rules to all kinds of different stuff, because New York's losing out all this money for people that's not traveling there, that's not vaccinated and stuff. So once New York figures out all that crap, yeah, mandates are going to go bupkis, and mandates are going to go crashing down. Plus, when you got the new elections coming up next year, people are going to get sick of the one regime. It's like it always happens. People are sick of the one regime. Another regime comes along, everything changes. So
We'll see, because California just doubled down on their governor,
yeah,
and
we
I
can't
mean,
tell
we'll see,
you don't
but I
you
think
don't
things trend the worst way. So I
people
don't think
don't
I don't think it's going to get
people
better there.
look, people don't count California just like people don't count Florida.
I
Florida
guess,
people, we
but
don't count
uh,
California, they don't count Florida people. We don't give a crap what goes on the other side of the country because we control what's over here.
I hope you're right,
They're,
Kevin. But I don't
they're
think
going to
New
stay
York's going to get better. I think it's going to
they're
get
going to
worse.
stay they're going to stay Democrat. New York has had Republicans before, so it's just I just think that Kyrie really can't go anywhere because nobody's going to want to touch him. Not
Well,
even because of the vaccine, but because dude hasn't played.
here's your doomsday scenario. Okay, I just pulled up Kyrie Irving's contract because as much talk as it is right now, it could double down and get worse next year. Okay, so Kyrie's going to be a free agent next offseason, but it's a player option. So he, if he opts in and the rules don't change, he could sit like Kevin said and still pocket $36 million.
Which
That's
is exactly what he's going to do.
that's
Yep.
insane. So just by looking at that, knowing that it's a player option for next year, at this moment in time, Brooklyn is fucked if they don't trade him.
He's going to park. All Kyrie's going to do is park, and New York and Brooklyn is going to sit there and hope that something changes. They're
My
not going to trade
God.
him. They're not going to trade him. They're going to sit there and hope something changes because they know they can win without him, but they know what they can do with him if he actually plays. So they're just going to sit on it. They're just going to sit and wait and bide their time because they can. Because you have arguably the best player in basketball and another top 5 player in basketball on your team. So you can sit there and do that with him. You don't have to offer him the max, which means you're not going to pay him any more money. Means you're only going to pay him this amount that you got coming up. If he takes the player option, he's got that amount. So, dude, they can sit. They can literally sit and wait on it.
I don't know, Kevin.
They
I don't think
Because
could, but
they'll probably
I'd be
do that.
surprised. I'd be
Yeah,
Yeah,
surprised.
I don't think they do that.
When he don't get traded, I'm gonna want all y'all to come back and go.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
they could do that, like you're saying, but then
He's
they have
he's
to
not
win a
going to get traded.
championship to justify any of this. Because look at what they had to do with Durant for them to be,
Right.
like to be good
Right.
in the playoffs last year. I know Harden wasn't healthy, but that's
They
still
were
depending on all those guys being healthy. I just don't.
a big toe away from winning it last year.
And that's
And-
fine. And then they went to
and-
overtime, and he missed everything because he was so
And-
exhausted.
He was a big toe. You wouldn't even
Big
be
toe
talking
away
about
from
this
the
right
conference
now.
finals.
That's fine, but he lost.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Exactly. They would have made it. They would have won the NBA championship last year if it wasn't for his size 437 foot.
Yeah, I get that, and they would still be the favorites
and-
this year, but
And you
it's
have
still
a
not happened
completely
yet.
half healthy James Harden. A whole
But
James
they're worse
Harden,
this year.
a whole James Harden and a whole Kevin Durant are better than the majority of the teams that are in the league.
You're right, but their
Yes.
others are worse this year. Their others are just a tad bit worse this year. So
They didn't even need the others last year.
so
The
to wrap,
others were point blank gone last year. Everybody focuses on all the big people, then focus on the big people. Nobody talks about the others because the others wasn't doing anything last year anyway. It was the same guy.
to wrap
All
this up.
they're going to do is rest them, get the number 4 or 5 seed, and then win the freaking thing.
Got it.
Brooklyn's going to the finals.
To
Maybe.
put a bow on this conversation real quick. Bryce was right. Brooklyn has to win the championship to justify Kyrie sitting for another year and making $36 million. Because if they don't, it's a complete and utter failure on their part, which it has been so far since they came together. Real quick, before we leave, I just want to do a rapid fire round table, which Kevin's already answered his, but I'm going to ask.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Time out. A complete and utter failure because they were a big two away from going to the conference finals and Kyrie Irving was hurt.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
that's a big.
anything that's
big-
not a finals or championship is bust.
Right.
That's a big,
So, yeah.
that's a big gigantic failure. If the
Yes.
guy was hurt and wasn't playing, and the other guy was hurt and wasn't playing, and
Yes.
Kevin Durant was trying to carry everybody.
Yes,
so making
because
it
as
as
you
far
said,
as making
as
it as
you
far
said,
as
they
they
had
did
enough.
with making as far as they did with no one playing.
But
Yeah.
Brooklyn is making that gamble by having those guys in there. You're always going to gamble if you're bringing in Kyrie, Durant, and Harden. So if you don't make it for any reason
Okay.
at all, including injury, then it is a bust. It
Okay,
absolutely
then
is.
why aren't y'all sucking the penis that it was a bust for freaking LA not to make it last year either with all their guys?
I did say it was a bust. I couldn't believe that they didn't make it.
No,
How could you not
no.
believe-
We'll eat
How
that.
could you not
No.
believe the Lakers wasn't going to make it? The Lakers suck. The Lakers
No.
were LeBron James and that's it.
We're specifically talking about the Brooklyn Nets. We picked the Lakers to win the championship last year. They didn't make it.
Hey,
They-
no, the fuck I didn't.
No, I'm talking.
We did.
Bryce. No,
We
I'm not
did.
talking about you. Hold
Nobody
up.
in this. Nobody in
I'm
this
talking
area
about-
picked the Lakers to win anything.
Right. I'm talking about me and Bryce picked the Lakers, and we were wrong, and we owned that plenty of times. But specifically, what I'm saying is that any team that's as star-studded as that does not at least even get to the NBA Finals, it's a bust. But to put a wrap on it, Kevin, who's your champion this year?
The Nets.
Okay, Bryce, who's your champion this year?
Lakers.
Okay,
You're
I
going-
got the Lakers. I got the Lakers again. So,
It's funny.
so we'll see what happens this year. But look,
Y'all put your bets on the most injury-prone team in the league to win the
I mean,
NBA.
Didn't you just kind of do the
Last year,
same
right?
thing almost?
Brooklyn was injured last year. Like, come on.
I mean, we got hamstring Harden, And then you have Kyrie, who will find any reason not to play, and
Well,
even
Kyrie,
Durant's proven to be have some injuries. So that's
okay,
everything.
and then you just picked a team with, oh, I'm going to bitch so much, LeBron, Anthony Davis. I haven't played a whole season, and I can't tell you when. And then we just got a whole big gigantic retirement home as our bitch. Yeah, we're going to do
Like
pretty fine. We're going to do plenty fine when you get run out of the building by all them young teams that are over in the West. Thank you. Bye-bye. Come again, Lakers. Because they're going to do the exact same thing they did last year and get run out by every single one of those young teams. Because they can't keep up with
like Aldridge and whoever no name the Nets have on their team other than Blake Griffin, who is one jump away from blowing out his knee again.
Here's the big gigantic difference though, Bryce. Freaking the Nets don't play teams that are going to run you out of the freaking building. Everybody the Lakers team play are fast, younger, and better right now than they are. The Suns, way less talented on paper than they are, ran them out of the building. And when I say ran them out of the building, they're still running them.
Now, Kevin,
All the way back to LA.
Kevin, me and you both know, because me and you talked about this on the Heat Lifer podcast. There was a
It's
little
not going to matter in the
involved.
playoffs.
Well, there was a little fatigue involved in that, and that's one of the reasons why the Lakers and Heat.
The playoffs are when the Suns ran the Lakers out of it. So it is going to matter in the playoffs because that's when the Suns did it.
So,
yeah, we'll see.
There we have it, folks. We're going to wrap it up this week. I thoroughly enjoyed having you on today, Kevin and Bryce. This worked.
So it was a fun talk.
We were able to.
Football.
We were.
Gets me
No, I'm sorry. What's that, Kevin?
I said this is what happens when you have me on with a Jaguar game on and they're playing like shit. You get
So every Jaguar game.
So listen. We were able to have an intelligent conversation about Kyrie Irving and not demonize Kyrie and not point fingers at Kyrie. So I'm extremely proud that we were able to do that because he doesn't deserve that. So that's going to be it for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nations podcast. Kevin, tell them where to find you at.
At home. Oh, no, I'm just 4:15. And you can find me on the Balls in Your Court podcast, where we don't pick the Lakers to win the NBA championship.
Look, thank you very much, Kevin. And tell Cortez it's all love and he needs to wake up next time. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be it.